Hey y'all, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are making one of my very favorite dishes to make. I love to eat it. It's like a nice warm hug. It takes me back to my time in Thailand, which is some of my favorite memories from my travels. I love to cook this dish. I love to eat this dish. And I love to make it for people who want to try something new. So today we're making Panang curry. Let's go to Thailand. Panang curry, you guys, anytime I think of any sort of Thai curry, I think chairs that are too small for me, that I don't feel 100% comfortable sitting in, a ceramic bowl that doesn't match any of the others from the vendor, and a wonderful like metal spoon. Like it just, the comfort that Thai curry gives me. I loved it previous to travel. Post-travel, curry became what I wanted if I was sick. Curry became just comfort, a nice warm hug for me. So there are lots of different kinds of Thai curry, but today we're gonna do Panang curry. I love this. The flavor is so like interesting and sweet and complex and just all around fabulousness. The first thing that you want to do before we talk about any ingredients, prepare your rice, y'all. You want to use jasmine rice. In the video that I did previously, we talked all about ingredients that you guys need to make really great Asian food. The first thing I talked about was jasmine rice. You're going to want to make this. Now let me say, I'm doing a rice video as I talked about in that other one. We're going to do a rice video, but we're not going to be working with rice again necessarily until later this month. So that's when you're going to see the rice video go up. Trust me, I will teach you how to make this. But for now, do it to the best of your ability. Let me just say, if you will rinse your rice probably 4 times, get a colander, not a colander, but like a bowl, rinse your rice, dump it, rinse it again, dump it, do it about 4 times, and then cook it in your rice cooker if you have one. If you don't have a rice cooker, put it in a pot. Now you don't want to do equal parts rice and water if you're gonna do it in a pot. So look at, instead of taking up a lot of time in this video to tell you how to do that, look at the link in the description bar of this video. I will include how to make rice in a pot so you guys can do that easily to prepare your rice. So let's do that first. Get your rice going. Mine's already going, but get yours going. Let's talk about our ingredients. Now, these are in no particular order. I just have them out here because this is what we're gonna be using. So I'll start on this side and then I'll go to this one. Fish sauce. Now I use less fish sauce in this particular curry because Jimmy doesn't like it. He does not enjoy fish sauce, fishy flavors, things like that. I think I've found a good mix to make him happy with this, and so we're doing just a little bit, not near as much as you'll see other recipes have. Next we have palm sugar. We're gonna use a little bit of that. That's why I have my measuring spoon out. You wanna be exact with this just because you don't want it to be too sweet. We have our curry paste. I have the small one because this is what I'll actually cook with today, but this big one is what I typically use, so I usually do it by tablespoons. So I'll give you both measurements in the recipe in case you don't find the smaller can. Coconut milk, must have. You don't have this, you can't make this. Now let's talk about these veggies. I add vegetables to my Panang curry. It doesn't typically call for them. I like to add some bell pepper and some onion to my Panang curry. The reason for that is it can be a little oily. I find if you add some vegetables with it, I feel like it beefs it up, but it also, I feel like helps you digest it. It makes it a little easier on your system, and I feel like it just goes beautifully with the rice. So I add some veggies to mine. I've got some Kaffir lime leaves, and then I've got 2 chicken breasts and some oil. So that's all we're gonna need for this. You don't need a crazy list of things. It's pretty simple. Your curry paste and your coconut milk are the most important things. We're gonna start with our chicken, so let me kind of pull that over here so I can work with it. Now, one thing, this is really up to you guys, this is based on you, is I always trim the chicken because Jimmy's not a fan of fatty things. This is why he had a bit of trouble when we were traveling Asia, because, I gotta turn this, I can't do it like this. He had a little issue with this while we were in Asia just because fatty things bother him. So unfortunately, I usually have to sacrifice some of my chicken breast for his aversion to that. Someone's feelings are a little bit hurt, but
well, it's gristly and stuff too.
Basically, you're just gonna trim the fat, guys. You're just gonna trim off the fat. So I'm cutting these into little chunks like this because I find it makes it a little easier to cook it. You could cut your chicken breast in half, but my chicken breasts aren't necessarily huge. I try not to buy really big ones, so I feel like that kind of helps. But you want them to be pretty uniform in size so they all cook about the same time. I'm gonna finish cutting these up and I'll do my second one and I'll be right back with you guys to show you what to do next. All right, got our chicken done. We've cubed them. You won't see a whole lot of that process because of the peanut gallery, AKA the love of my life, off camera with all of his commentary, but I've got them pretty good little cubes here. He's of the school of thought that you should cut them in half and make them thin strips. I personally like them cubed like this because I think they're easier to eat. So we'll just agree to disagree with each other on that one. Let me wash my hands and we'll come back. All right, let's work on our palm sugar here, guys. I'm gonna get one of my cubes out. The smell, I just cannot articulate it to you how good that is. We want about a tablespoon, so I'm gonna shave a bit off of here. You want it pretty well packed in your measuring spoon. Grab my trusty little spoon here. This is one of those moments, you guys, where I kind of wish I had one of the liquid palm sugars. They have some, I just haven't actually taken the time to go buy one, but I should probably do that next time I go to the Asian market, because when you need more of it like this, it's much easier. Alrighty, I think I've got my remainder of my palm sugar here. Put that in there. We're all good to go with that. So now I'm gonna chop my veggies. What you want for this is a medium onion. I'm using a yellow onion because I think they're a little sweeter. I actually quite like them. So that's what we're gonna use for this. And we're just gonna cut them in strips. So I cut it in half, as you can see here. A little middle popped out, but just cut it in half long ways. And I'm just gonna take my knife and just here, I'm just gonna cut it, because here it gives me little strips like that. That's what I want. All right, we got our onions. I'm just gonna move them off to one side here. Now, you can use big bell peppers. You'd use a whole one probably. I like these little baby ones. I think they're a lot sweeter, so that's why I tend to use these. So for these, I just cut off. These are ugly. I don't know what happened to them, but they're perfectly clean. I soaked them and they're just fine. So I always cut it lengthways so you have it open here, and then just cut strips. So that way your strips of bell pepper kind of match what you got with your onions. Now, in terms of quantity of how much of this I do the little baby ones. I'll either do one whole big one, or I do 8, maybe 9 of the baby ones, because it just depends on how big they are as to how much I can get out of one of them. I've never been one to be necessarily very picky about like knife technique, so don't necessarily copy me, you know, stroke for stroke, because I'm just not, it's just an area in cooking that I just don't have the patience to mess with, so I just do what works for me and move on. I'm moving my peppers over to my onions like this simply because I'm gonna add them to my curry at the same time, so it doesn't really matter if they're mixed up. Alrighty, we've got all of our peppers and our onions cut up. Put them all in the bowl here. We're ready to start making curry. Pretty easy prep, not a lot involved. All right, now we're gonna start our curry. One thing I went ahead and did is I opened up my coconut milk. So if you guys wanna see here how kind of thick and delicious that sort of looks. Now, there's water below it, but this is what I mean by coconut cream here on the top. All right, let's light it up and start cooking. We've got some oil down in our pan, and the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna fry off our curry paste. Now, I'm gonna use the entire can of this little one. This is 4 ounces of Panang curry paste. Now, you can make your own curry paste, guys, if you want to, but it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of patience, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, I don't have it. And I know how to do it. I took classes when we were in Thailand, so I know how to do it, but I can't always get the ingredients where we are here. So I just buy this. This is gonna splatter at you. You want that sound, you want that sauté goodness that you got going on there. But because you have high sides, it's not gonna spit at you too bad. Ooh, the minute that paste hits that oil, you get such a delicious smell. You get that fragrance right away. So I just wanna cut off a little bit and turn my heat down a touch. This is a well-loved pan, y'all, so that's why it's probably a little ugly. So just give your oil a little bit of a, see, splatters a little bit. That's okay. Now this is where I add in my veggies, because I want my veggies to soak up this flavor from this curry paste. So we're just gonna add all of our onions and peppers directly in our bowl. Let's mix these around here. Toss this around real good. If you feel like it's dry, you can add more oil. That's okay. Let's toss this around here. Now we're gonna let this kind of hang out for a minute. These veggies are gonna soak up that curry paste. They're gonna taste so deliciously good. And then next we're gonna add our chicken, toss them around, and then we're gonna start adding everything else. This is not your typical order for kind of how you do this, but the reason for that is, in Thailand, they will add raw chicken straight to like the soup part. That freaks me out. Coming from the States, we don't do that a whole lot. It just freaks me out. So I prefer to just let the chicken start to cook. I don't cook it all the way through. I just kind of let it start. And then I add the other soup components because it just makes me feel better about it. So chicken in. Just toss your chicken and all that goodness just like you did before. Might need a skosh more oil. Eyeball that, don't worry about it. It's based on your pan. This is a cast iron Dutch oven pan, so it gets a little hotter than most. So that's my fault. Do you guys ever cook with your mom and she like bangs her spoon on the side of the pan? My mom always did that because she always wanted to get the goodness off of her spoon into what she's making. It's habit. Sorry if that's irritating. I'll probably do it every time we make something, so.
It's like man law, 2 test clicks when you have your tongs grilling.
Yeah, just get used to it, y'all. Just get used to it. See? Can't help it. It's a tick. It's like a weird tick. I have 2 cans of coconut milk out here because I'm not sure how much it's gonna take. You can add water. I don't like to add water unless it just is really dry. So I'm gonna take this first full can of coconut milk and it's gonna go in. Might need my trusty little spoon here. There's that water, at the milk at the bottom. All right, mix this all up. Now this is where you're judging how thick you want your curry. Now, there are a lot of people who do it pretty thin. There are a lot of people who like it pretty thick. I'm kind of one of those that likes it somewhere in between. At this point, you want to turn your heat up a bit because you want to bring all of this to a good boil. And I'm thinking I am going to need that other can of coconut milk here. You want it to cover the ingredients you have in there really well. Let me open this up and I'll dump it too. All right, let's add our second can of coconut milk here. Got good cream on the top of that one too. Woo, there it goes. Splatters everywhere. Make sure you scrape down in there because when that cream collects like that, you don't want to miss any of that. You want all of it. Let's stir this up here. If I still need more liquid, I'll add water at this point because it'll be way too rich if I don't. So we're gonna do this here. I'm gonna go ahead and put some water in here because I might need it. I'm just gonna fill it up and set it here. So as it starts to boil, you're gonna see if you need to add it or not. So at this point, we're gonna put in our fish sauce and our palm sugar. Okay, stir them all around so that palm sugar can dissolve. We're also gonna add our kaffir lime leaves. I adore these. These are actually dried. Typically what you would use in a recipe like this is you would do fresh ones. They're a lot harder to find in the States. So I get dry ones. I order them on Amazon. I have a link in the description for you guys. So in go the kaffir lime leaves. Epic flavor there. Stir them in. What's nice is they're dried. So they're gonna kind of be reconstituted, rehydrated, brought back to life when you put them in here. And they're gonna add such an incredible, wonderful flavor to this. You could add galangal to some of that. That's also hard to find fresh, so you can buy that also dried, but it's in the curry paste, and so I didn't wanna overpower that particular flavor. So we're only gonna add the kaffir lime. Now, we wait for it to boil. This might take a quick couple minutes for it to actually get to a good boil, and you want it to kind of have that simmer effect to it. You don't want it at a hard boil, you just want it to simmer real good. And really what's nice, that's part of why I like to start the chicken a little early, because what you're waiting on is all of those flavors to marry together and your chicken to cook through. So that's really the deciding factor here. So we're gonna wait. I'm not gonna add water yet. I don't know if I'm gonna need it. We're gonna see. Got a little boil started. Give it a little more time. While we wait for this to boil, one thing I want to let you guys know, what's really funny about this is actually considered a red curry because it starts with a red curry base and then they add the galangal and the rest to it. So that's what makes it a Panang curry. Typically you find this as a street food. In Thailand, you can get it at some restaurants, but you'll typically have an easier time finding like a green curry, masaman, some of those things in restaurants. But this is always sold on the street. You can always find it. Typically it's about 60 to 90 baht, which US prices is about $2. So you can get this big, beautiful, luscious bowl of this with rice for about $2. So that's why it's such a good street food. Earlier I mentioned it reminds me of chairs that are too small for me, things like that. They have, you know when you're a kid and like vacation Bible school or like preschool, they have those little chairs that you sit on that are plastic. Well, that's what they use at every night market. Like everywhere you go, night or day, you go to a street market to eat, that's what they sit on because Asian people are much, much smaller than we are usually in America. And so I always felt really nervous sitting on those chairs. So I would put two of them together just because I felt more stable because I'm tall too, and so I didn't want to break one of the little tiny baby chairs. But that's what they use. They give you a bowl of deliciousness. You go buy, for me, a green milk tea to have with it, and you go sit down and you enjoy a delicious meal for about $3, and it's just the best. So if you ever have the chance to go to Thailand, my favorite's in Chiang Mai. Love Chiang Mai. You go there, you go to a street market, night market, you'll be able to find Panang curry and it will just change your life, I promise. We got a good simmer going on right now, guys. You want to let this go this way for about 15 to 20 minutes, just so it all has time to get delicious. And because we did not cook our chicken all the way through, so it's not gonna get tough. It's gonna be just perfect when you're done. Now, I may or may not add water, I don't know. It depends on how much it cooks down. Keep your water next to you in case you need it. But right now we're looking pretty good. So we're gonna let it simmer away for about 15 minutes. All right, you guys. It's been simmering away. It didn't actually take it a full 15 minutes. I always check my chicken and see how it is and give it a quick taste with a spoon. If it tastes right, then she's ready. So she is ready. So I've got my rice here and I'm There are two schools of thought with this. I like to put my curry on top of my rice. Jimmy prefers it on the side. So we'll do it on the side because it looks prettier. So I'm gonna serve this up here on the side. I love these big plate bowls with nice pretty edges on them. A little more goodness. Gosh, it smells so good. Wish there was smell. Do they have smell tube? Like smell-o-vision? Because it would just be, oh, so good. All right, there we go. There is our Panang curry. I'm gonna give it a taste. I'm gonna move my trusty little burner here to the side. What's nice is you have extra servings there, guys. You have more that you can eat in there. It'll probably feed another 2-3 servings. So this would easily feed a family of 4, maybe 5, depends on how big your appetites are. I have to say, this is my favorite part of having a cooking show, is getting to eat it. So I'm gonna take a bit of chicken. I've got some veggie, got a little rice there. Still hot. It's just, guys. You get the sweetness up front. You do not taste fish. It is not fishy. You would never know that that fish sauce is in there if it wasn't a rounded flavor. Promise you, but you need it to help with that. Then in the back of your throat, that heat just kind of sneaks in from that curry paste, and it is just the most delicious, fragrant. It's an explosion of flavor, you guys. It's so hard to describe it unless you've ever eaten it. I hope you guys give this a try. If you do, please, please, please tag me over on Instagram with a photo. Love to see you try it, as well as leave me a comment down below. I want to know there if you gave it a shot and what you thought. Also, check the description of this video because that's a link to my website where you'll find the full recipe, how to do the rice, all the things you need to know for this recipe. So I hope you guys try it. I hope you love it just as much as I do. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.